Each of our bodies is unique, but one thing that all of our bodies share in common is an intelligence that is rooted in something that precedes the mind, in something deeper than the mind. And a part of that awareness is an individual knowing on how to soften the tightness of tension and stress. So each of our bodies has unique mechanisms in place for doing that. And it's, I really have to make a point in sharing that these systems that I am describing and that I've created, I don't feel that I've created them. They were given to me as gifts, and I'm as surprised by all of this as anyone. So as I really want you to hear what I'm sharing with as much humility as can possibly fill the words, because I don't feel responsible for them. I feel responsible for sharing them. Okay. But the body keys are your body's direct mechanisms for soothing that tightness in the body. And as Christina mentioned, these mechanisms are all based in some form of embodied activity. So they are not conceptual. They're not about figuring anything out. They're all about moving into some very, very basic, oftentimes mundane activity in order to return the awareness to the base of experience, which is the sensory relationship to life, which is the human experience, right? So that's what the body keys are. There's a map that your personal formula will provide, and that map is going to show you what your body keys are. The map will include the primary patterns of tension that are most likely to be contributors to your experience. And I say it this way on purpose because these patterns of tension all along the way have actually been teachers. Anytime we tense up, we are receiving a signal from the body. We haven't known it though. We've been so busy up here in the mind that we haven't known to listen in to what the body tells us, which is why sometimes the body has to get really, really loud, and that's called pain, right? So the body communicates to the mind through tension that we're doing something that does not support life. And as we are able to adjust our relationship to tension and learn to listen for it, we can begin to access life in a far more cooperative manner. We also unify the mental awareness with the physical awareness. And so in your personal formula, you meet stuckness patterns, and those are unique to each of us. Every stuckness pattern is unlocked by one of 7 body keys. And every one of these body keys allows for the ultimate expression of a gift. And that gift is a natural extension of who you are. It does not need to be cultivated or developed. It is the truth of your radiant self when you are relaxed and your heart is open. So the personal formula is built on these primary aspects. The final additional piece of the puzzle is called an elemental expression. And each of these personal formulas has one element activated. Each one of us has a primary element, and there are 6 different elemental possibilities in this system. And they are earth, water, fire, air, ether, and spirit. So one of those 6 is going to be activated in your personal formula, and all these different aspects work together to contribute to a really, really simple practice that allows for a direct soothing of that tension in the moment. And I'll be interested to hear what your experience of this has been, Christina, but I've learned that applying the body keys allows for me to proactively engage in that moment of tension in such a way that the tension is resolved in a matter of minutes and sometimes seconds. So we're not talking about days, weeks, years of therapy here. We're talking about a moment by moment regulation. We're talking about a return to self and a continual return to self. And as we apply those body keys and return to this state of relaxation, we are returning to what I like to refer to as our natural state of elegant composure. This is who each one of us is and what we're capable of. We forget it in the head, we remember it in the body.
Yes. Well, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to give examples from my own.
Please.
Just so it makes sense for people,
Absolutely,
right? So because it was honestly so validating for me, and I want to share a little bit about that. But for example, like some of my patterns of tension, right? So melancholy, paralysis, overwhelm, and compromise. And you provide examples of all the ways that can show up, but just for the purposes of this podcast, anybody listening, I'm sure, think about overwhelm, right? I know I can tune into, oh, I feel overwhelmed right now. I can feel the overwhelm, or I can feel the paralysis, or I can feel the melancholy, or I can feel where I'm compromising. And so I can identify that. And then for each of those individually, there's a specific key. So I'll use melancholy, it's soundscape. So for me, that can be, listening to certain music, and I know what song, right? I keep pressing next until I get until I get the song, and I just know. Or privacy, going
Mhm.
into my cave. So,
Yeah.
or with, overwhelm, it's organization. So I know to organize. And then so you basically, okay, this is the pattern, and then I know exactly what to do from there. And, a lot of these can also be combined, and then it unlocks something else, right? So I think I just want to share this around the melancholy, because this was really, really profound for
Mhm.
me, and really just validating, because I've always had that sort of, I've kind of felt guilty about it my whole life, but as somebody who's always loved to be creative and to write, I've really loved going deep into the heavy emotions, because that is
Yeah.
how I found my artistry.
Mhm.
And it was so funny, because that's the term. And one of my best friends growing up used to call me melancholy. Like, that was my nickname.
Wow.
Specifically because we loved that word. And I've just always been someone that would just get so deep in my feels, but that has always been my inspiration. And I really battled with that for a while. Like, well, I don't have to feel sad to get inspired, right? I don't like, and just reframing that for myself, but it really has always been how I create, coming from that space. And I kind of started to figure that out of, wow, when I'm feeling these really intense feelings as I move through this, something beautiful always comes from it. And I have seen that as a really beautiful gift, right? And
Yes.
I think just really learning about that one especially was super validating. And I've actually found that I'm so much more creative since implementing these. And there was,
Wow.
I think, a lot of spaces I had sort of forgotten, things that I really enjoy doing, that since I have just felt like something got unplugged and my creativity came back in a really different way, which has been
Mhm.
really great for me, and kind of just reconnecting to this other part of myself that I didn't really realize I had uh, not been engaging with.
Wow.
So that's, one example that was really profound for me. And what I love about this is it's so simple of, okay, I can just identify which pattern am I feeling, and then this is exactly what I can do to shift the tension.
Mhm.
And I think it's so tangible for people. It's so tangible. And what I realized was, when I was listening to all of this, it felt like, oh, I've always had all of the puzzle pieces,
That's
but
right.
this put it together. So it's like, I know, I always will, if I'm feeling my stuff, I'll put in my headphones, blast the music, or, you know, blast the music here, go on a drive, whatever. Or I know I need privacy. I'm getting my hermit energy. I'm just, no one talk to me, right? Or I know I just need to organize it. I need to, write everything down on the right sheets. Like, I've always done these
Yep.
things, but I
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily doing them immediately when I felt the feeling.
Mhm.
Uh or I wasn't doing it connected to the one it was gonna shift. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
this made it really simple for me to know exactly what to move into. And then, you shift the tension, and for me it's been some version of like inspiration flowing, right? It's what you were
Mhm.
saying, like, oh, now I
Right.
can see clearly, and it would be unproductive for me to even try and figure anything out, or do anything inspired when I'm in this state of tension.
That's
So
right. Dang. So I haven't heard that story. Just for anyone listening, this
yeah.
is actually my first opportunity to receive that feedback, direct feedback from Christina, and I am celebrating, because that's 100% it. And I love that you also noted how obvious this is once you see it. And I think you're right that there is at least a potential trap here, that once a person experiencing the body keys really sees what's happening, there's such a big duh that happens inside, like, oh, come on, that it might be easy to be like, okay, like I've got that already. But the distinction is that we get to now proactively engage in this awareness. We get to turn our very, very busy mental awareness toward the body in a way that is cooperative, proactive, and benefits us holistically, because that's what happens when there's a unity of mind and body. So that's really exciting. I also love the melancholy example, So I may have mentioned this to you in the recording, because every personal formula package comes with, at least for now anyway, they all come with a personalized audio recording where I kind of break down what I'm seeing in your personal formula. And part of what makes Christina so unique, and a part of why her literal nickname was Melancholy, which is crazy, is that melancholy is connected to the individual circuitry in our human design. And so it was actually through contemplation on human design themes and the circuitry in particular, and also gene keys themes, that the body keys was kind of dropped into my lap as this new awareness, right? And it is the individual stream or circuitry in the human design that contributes to this particular pattern of melancholy. And Christina has more than 50% of all the activations in her body graph happening on that courseway. So there's a very specific way that energy moves through you, Christina, and it's happening for a reason. Without understanding, that reason gets all bent out of shape, and we start to wrap mental reasons around a natural process. And anytime that we do that, we literally strangle the life out of it. And that is what we experience as a stuckness pattern of melancholy.